All right. Good morning. Good evening. Good night. You already know what it is. Layer1Live. We're coming at you hot. Another Monday, man. Post-election Monday. What's going on with yourself, Dima?
Yeah, man. It's definitely an exciting weekend. The weather has been beautiful in my area, so ended up, hanging out, grilling some stuff, and basically watching what's happening with this outcome with these elections. So finally, we kind of got at least some clarity there. But we have also lots of other things to talk about, like the news that we have packed for today. So I'm super excited to get into that. How was your weekend, Q?
It was
You
good,
always ask
man.
me about my weekend, but I never ask you about yours.
Well, I have to let the lads that are showing up now know that this was the first time you ever watched Scarface this weekend, which
Oh no!
which, to be honest, is just a complete atrocity. But hopefully it was good. Yeah, my weekend was all right, man. We hung out. I watched the Cowboys lose a heartbreaker yesterday, but it's good to see everybody, man. It's good. It looks like we got some NFT army guys in the chat, but I'm going to go from descending order here. We've got NFT Hub as our first viewer here. We got 23 of you guys right now. Bullseye, as Modi, Loadmaster, Phasia, Erickson, Bruno. Who else do we have? We have Scott. We got Orlando in the chat. Everybody's in the chat here, so we appreciate you stopping by today. As always, we're bringing you the latest news. This is Layer1Live. If it's your first time, leave a like. If it's your first time, go ahead and click that subscribe button. We're bringing you all the news from around the industry. Layer 1 is growing rapidly. Our community is growing as rapidly as this comment section here. But we're having a good time with it, man. We're excited to get to the news today.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's fantastic to see the families growing. We're building new things to have more fun together. Like we were gonna mention, the radio that we did. That has turned out to be amazing. Buff is like hosting that, and a lot of fun. I don't know if I was the first guest on that, but I was definitely a guest.
Yeah, we did that post NFT live, and it was a great hit. So we're gonna continue doing the LADZ radio. Shout out to Buffalo out there on his wherever he may be right now. So we appreciate him doing that, and we'll do that again this week. Bruno's saying that you need to wait 15 seconds after starting so I can see the beginning. I think that there is some lag time. Yeah, we'll try to get that handled. The only issue with that is if we're not early and we're late, it's just me and Dimitri sitting here at nothing. So it's hard to time that up. So we appreciate it. Looks like all the NFT armies in the house. We got about 33 people in the chat here today. All-time high is 56. You guys know how it works. You're earning LADs here by participating today. And if we hit the all-time high of 56, meaning we have to get to 57, we'll do 2 times the LADs for you guys this week. We've got a lot of updates as well. From the LAD side, before we went to Alpha and LAD of the week, do you want to get to some of the stuff from the liquidity mining perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been really busy on my end, working to make sure that we have everything outlined in terms of data and models in terms of liquidity that we're looking to put out for the people that are interested in participating. So that's coming in hot. I've been, heads down working on that. And, we've already come into the end where we're going to have a clearer picture in terms of how we're going to structure the incentives, the liquidity mining, and all that campaign that we've talked about. So keep an eye on that. It's been wonderful to see from our community the interest in participating in this program. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be reaching out to each one of you personally to kind of, gauge your interest and find out what are you really looking to do when we start these campaigns, and make sure you have all these questions or concerns answered, and basically know how to do it if you do want to participate. So it's I'm super excited for that. We'll keep on rolling with it.
Yeah, we've talked about this LAD's liquidity mining for a little while here. We put out a campaign message, I believe, a week and a half ago. So keep following our Substack, keep following Twitter, Discord. We're going to get you guys all the information. If you guys were in LAD City, were in the community Discord, you can see the ones that have provided the application or put out the filled out the application for the LAD's mining campaign have actually ranked up into those roles. Once we get everything rolling, that'll be an NFT a tokenized access. So you'll take that LP token to actually access that role. That role will get you access to different rewards, different content, all that other stuff, man. So yeah, we're super excited to go about this process. We got almost 40 in the house right now. So we got 42 in the house. Looks like Bruno's got a question here for you. Liquidity at Uni, Balancer, or other?
Yeah, it's gonna good question, Bruno. It's gonna be focused on Uni. So
yeah,
that's
so
a very good question.
yeah, I mean we can talk about this at a certain point. I will drop the application actually if I can. I'll drop the LADZ mining application in the chat for those of you that are interested in providing liquidity for the LADZ token as we go forward. We're gearing up, man. We're gearing up. By all accounts, we've been waiting to do this for a long time, so we're super excited. It looks like we had some people in the chat actually, other than the NFT Army raid that's actually happening, and we're getting pillaged out here. It looks like everyone was talking about LADZ Radio. So once again, man, we'll be doing that. I think Buff's going to do that on a schedule. So we'll always have that one that's post NFT live episode, but I'm sure he'll run that multiple times throughout the week like we saw this past week. So
yeah, absolutely. And I talked to Buff, and it's a great idea to have this where we can all chill, listen to nice music, have requests from the community to find out what the taste of music they have. And it's been wonderful to see all kinds of different, songs being dropped and requested. But, we probably going to have guests that come on, on the radio as well to talk to Buff. And that's an opportunity for us to kind of share stories of where we come from. Because there's a lot of, the LADZ family has grown, right? And there are people that do know our backgrounds that have been following us for a while. And there's those that are new ones that maybe don't, know some of these cool stories we've got. Mm-hmm. So I think LADZ Radio is going to be a great way to kind of, have some jams and then have some guests that like us that come in and share some fun stories of our past. So you guys know a little bit of where we come from.
I agree with that, and we're going to be adding a ton of stuff to that Discord. I think Brandon, shout out to Brandon, who actually fixed our tokenized roles with the collab land bot yesterday. So now, if you rank up via these LADZ, you should be able to, or if you actually get more LADZ, you're able to rank up now via that bot. So definitely an awesome thing there. I think the only other thing that I did have to mention here before we move on, if you would like a channel added, you guys can see that within LADZ City, there's different districts. We've got the NFT Town District. We've got the DeFi District. We've got the Trading Desk District for a lot of the guys that are interested in Dimitri's desk. If you want something added within those categories, or you believe something should be added, and you can kind of, get guys interested in that topic or are already interested, let us know. We'll create the category. Certainly, if it's like inactive for 30 days or something like that, we'll disable it and good stuff. But we want to get as many categories in there as possible that are going to be active. So that's about it. Let me get to the stats from this week. We got top 5 countries: U.S., U.K., Australia, Canada, and Germany. That's the top 5 from around the world. So good morning, good evening, good night to those people here. Top 3 episodes from this past week. It's going to be that episode with Andrew Steinwald talking about NFTs, talking about metaverses and digital property rights. We've got Cooper Turley coming at second with social tokens, and then Don't Buy Meme is pulling in third. This week, here's the schedule. We have Layer1Live, obviously now, around 2 p.m. Tuesday is going to be Dimitri's desk. We got Axie Infinity. Axie Infinity, we had Jiho from Axie come on the podcast. We're releasing that on Wednesday at 3 p.m. Thursday is going to be NFT Live and LADZ Radio, and Friday is going to be Dimitri's desk. I think also we have an interview this week with the Bad Crypto Podcast guys. That'll be fun. So we'll get that episode out next week, but that'll be a fun episode. So I guess that's what else do we have? We have a LADZ grant that we want to talk about, but Lad of the Week, DJ True. He was killing it this week, asking a ton of questions about the episode that we had with Andrew. Alpha of the week is going to be Steph. So shout out to Stefan. And this kind of leads into, claps. This kind of leads into the LADZ grant that we did. So if you guys aren't aware, a portion of the total supply of LADZ is I guess portioned away for grants. It's for partnerships, for NFT purchases that we'll end up putting in our LADZ vault called the LADZ Reserve. Portion of it is grants. So we've already reached out to Loadmaster. Loadmaster has received our first grant. The second grant that we're getting ready to deal out here is
It's going to be to Stefan Chetty, I believe his last name is. So you guys probably know I mentioned his name on previous episodes of Layer1Live. And he reached out to us because, he wanted to get more involved. And he does something in form of just research and breakdown of different projects. And he's doing a series of articles right now where it's kind of layer 2 solutions for ETH. And we've already gotten pieces of research from him that look pretty good. We'll format it in a better way and start deploying that into the Discord channel. It's probably going to be called as research under trading desk. So you guys will have access to those documents, and we really want to hear the feedback from you guys, right? Because it's really going to be up to you guys if this is something that you guys will find valuable and continue want to see this. We'll continue to deploy those type of articles and research. It's basically like 3-pager or so, or 3 or 4 pages, and it's pretty easy in terms of reading. It's like, what is this project, what problems does it solve, how does it compare to competitors, and and so on in the team, like a interesting report. So we'll have that integrated here this week, and of course, we will be deploying that grant to Stefan for providing that research to Layer1 and LADZ community. So
yeah, if you guys are interested at all in being a part of this community on a further basis, I know we have some guys in the hopper right now that are interested in kind of coming on and helping in whatever fashion that kind of fuels their passion. I don't mean to throw that rhyme out there too early in the episode, but that's basically what we want to do. We want to bring on guys who are super interested in helping lads get better in whatever way possible they can. So we've seen that with Loadmaster, we've seen that with Stefan, and we've got a couple other guys that are waiting in the wings. But if you're interested, reach out to the admins in the community, and we'll get you set up, man. So we got about 45 in here right now. We're going to get to the remainder of the episode here. Guys, Layer1Live is basically bringing you crypto-wide news. So we got this broken down the way that you can see that here on my left, but your right. It's going to be breaking, quick news, discussion, EOS, DeFi, social tokens, and NFTs. That's going to basically be the way that we break down our episodes every week. You can catch Dimitri on Tuesdays talking about TA and crypto, kind of the crypto markets, and you can also catch the interviews on Wednesdays, NFTs on Thursdays, and then Dimitri again hitting it on Friday. So let's ping the community here real quick. What were we thinking about doing with Layer1Live? I know we've been talking about that behind the scenes. Maybe we ping the community a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're talking about, since there's so many news coming out, and the market is hot, and by the time we kind of get to the news, sometimes the news get a little bit older, right? Like the stuff that happened maybe last Monday that has been talked about. By the time we get to today, it's kind of been some time already. So we've been discussing, maybe do Layer1Live twice a week, if the community would like. I think we brought this up before, and somebody said do it every day. but yeah, if you guys want, we can split these things up. These episodes might be a bit shorter, but we'll be quicker in terms of responding to the news and giving our opinion about things that are happening twice a week rather than once.
Yeah, I think Layer1Live goes daily is what we're getting from Bruno. So I keep getting this request. Fresco makes it a lot, but I also noticed that post episode, I'm going to turn you up just a little bit more to a point.
He's trying to silence me, so he doesn't want me to talk.
I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. Let me know if that portion, we can mess with it while we're live. That's a beauty of it being live. But yeah, you're right. I need to fix this. We want Dimitri to be on par with my audio. So not getting too far off topic here. We want to try to do Layer1Live another day of the week. So if we get a ton of interest from you guys, let us know in the comments whether you would like another Layer1Live or maybe another piece of content. Let us know what aren't we covering at this point that we can kind of dedicate more daily time or weekly time to. So without further ado, Fresco, let me know if that audio is okay. We're gonna have Dimitri do another test, and then we're gonna bring him in. So we've got breaking news here. Do you want to start it, or do you want me to go with it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. This will be a part of my mic test as well. So the breaking news is basically the Fed seized 1 billion in stolen Silk Road Bitcoin. You guys might have seen something like this come across your desk as far as the headlines go, and it has to do, basically with a hacker that back in the day hacked Silk Road. I believe it was like in 2013, and everybody knew he hacked it, and nobody was observing his address. It wasn't that Bitcoin hasn't moved in a while. He was sitting on that position for a while, and eventually it turned to 1 billion in terms of like dollars worth, because of BTC going up in value. Looks like the regulators, the IRS, finally tracked him down and found the guy who they call the individual X. They don't, disclose his name, but his or her, whoever it is. But they've ended up recovering those funds from that person. They've seized that 1 billion worth of Bitcoin, and there's whole speculation right now. It's like, well, what is the government going to do with it? Are they going to auction it off like they've auctioned out Silk Road seized funds? And what kind of effect it's going to have on the market. A lot of people start talking about FUD, like, all right, if we're going to have $1 billion worth of Bitcoin dumping onto the market, then it's like, wow, well, we're going to get wrecked, right? So there's a little bit of FUD there, and people are kind of scared to see what's going to happen with the Bitcoin that they've seized. And I think the really beautiful part about this is how he got caught, Q, right?
Yeah. So we were talking before the episode, and we were going through the article. Obviously, it came across our Twitter timelines, but the way that this guy got caught is he went through the KYC process at BTCE, which was also seized, I believe, by the IRS, or at least the federal government. And so through those records, they were able to track this guy's, I guess he got super doxxed and was able to get tracked down. So we don't yet know who this guy is. Maybe it'll come out, maybe it won't. But yeah, individual X handing over a fair amount of BTC here.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, out of all the places, this guy did KYC at BTCE. Like that, come on, man. Like that is ridiculous. I was very shocked by it. Out of all the exchanges, this guy KYC'd there. So
yeah, I remember some of the stories sometime in like 2015, maybe 2016, when the U.S. I believe it looks like U.S. Marshals were auctioning off BTC. So do you think that's what's going to happen here with the seized funds?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's definitely what's going to happen. The government really doesn't like to sit on these things, right? And they will auction it off. And, a lot of people are saying, hey, listen, it's going to be some selling pressure on the market, but that's not necessarily true. I think, it's a great opportunity for entities and institutional people that are buying BTC right now, right? To get in on this and buy bulk of BTC for their reserves. At a good price, and they're not looking to offload that BTC onto the market because they actually need that as part of reserves. So it gives them an opportunity to enter the market without disrupting the price, which is kind of like an OTC deal that happens, which is fantastic. And it's like these entities obviously all KYC'd, all abiding by the KYC and all that regulatory stuff. So now we take this basically dirty Bitcoin that was gotten from this hacker and drugs and all that stuff, and now
it's nice.
It's nice. We give it to the entities that are operating in a good manner and under the law and all that stuff. So we're cleaning that Bitcoin up and putting it back into not necessarily circulation, but putting it into a place where it's gonna
trusted hands.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we got some comments here. One specifically, I guess a couple that are coming through about Layer1Live. Scott's saying definitely another Layer1Live show in the week would be appropriate. Tom's is saying the same thing. Fresco's telling us just a little bit more on the audio. Let's see. Bruno saying, I'm interested, maybe short, like a coffee break chat, more up to. So it looks like they're coming in and saying, hey, let's do another Layer1Live. So we'll get to you guys later this week and see if we can fit another Layer1Live in. Danny's in the house. DJ's in the house. A ton of people talking about the story here. Looks like I already placed an order at the SEC for 5,000 BTC. And Bruno is asking, who does KYC after doing a play like that? So I had one more question, because I don't believe, I remember generally that Silk Road got hacked, but I didn't know the actual process. So I'm assuming obviously the Bitcoin itself didn't get hacked. It was the actual Silk Road custody that was somehow compromised. So do you remember at all like how that went about?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't exactly remember the details of it, but I do remember that coming across back in the day that, it was hacked, and it was, a lot of fun in regards to Bitcoin. And again, it was like, okay, people were scared because there was a major hack, and they were scared that it's going to be dumped onto the market, but the hacker didn't end up doing that, right? So, and like the idea of just like, it's like, imagine if there's a guy who steals money from a drug cartel, does he go to jail? Like, you stealing from a guy that does dirty business,
You probably still, technically, depending on where that money came from, I mean, it shouldn't matter, essentially.
Right.
You're still stealing from somebody. It's like you murdered a murderer, but it's still murder.
Yeah. Exactly. But to the point that KYC, right? One Bitcoin has never been KYC'd. So it's interesting because, like, we talk about KYC, but like it all depends. Like, if like there should be a balance there, right?
Exactly.
So for example, if somebody's doing this, like this hacker, right? Yeah, he doesn't want KYC, right? If somebody's is being, a dark hat hacker, right? Or even a gray hat hacker, right? Those are the ones that can probably be wary about the KYC. But the white hat guys, they're fine. They're okay with KYC. That's not a problem. It's not like they're doing anything that would, pin it against them.
Yeah, he said he wasn't Robin Hood. He could have shared it with all of us. That's what Thomas is coming in and saying.
Right.
I want to give a quick shout out to Red Scanner. He is here. It looks like he's been a follower for a long time. I talked with Red this morning in our Discord chat. It's good to see Red Scanner showing up and commenting today on Layer1Live. We appreciate you, man.
Dude, lots of comments about my microphone. Let me see if I can turn it up here on my end through Zoom, maybe, because it sounds fine.
Ooh.
Or is it too loud?
It was a little bit loud there. So go ahead. No, do it.
Okay. So I turned it up a little bit. So hopefully it's a little bit better there.
All right. So we're trying to figure it out, guys. We're working through this. Keep letting us know if that test was a little bit long or it was a little bit too loud. You let us know. It looks like Mike Young is in the house. Good to see. That might be Milky Young. There's a lot of Youngs out here tonight. So, all right. So based on that, I'm going to move it over. I'm going to move our column over. We're going to get on to the next story. That was breaking news. We're going to get on to quick news, where we kind of break down multiple stories very quickly, as you would think.
At least try to.
Yeah, at least try to. So speaking of Bitcoin, it looks like a Satoshi-era Bitcoin, or at least a stash of Satoshi-era Bitcoin, moved up to about 30 million. And I believe all of these were sent to a single address. But it looks like Bitcoin from 2010 was moved to another address. It's now believed to be worth about 15.5 million. That was in one single move. And then we had another, looks like 50 coins moved from another Satoshi-era wallet to I guess an active wallet of 700K. So it looks like just movement as you see Bitcoin continue to increase here over the past month. You've seen Satoshi-era coins moving around. Who knows what this is actually kind of going to. This isn't like an exchange wallet situation, but you do see more Bitcoin starting to move around from that time. So I think it's relatively good to point this out. Again, this didn't move to like an exchange wallet or anything. These are just wallet-to-wallet transfers. But it's interesting to see those old Bitcoin, era move around.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy, these headlines that come through sometimes with like billions worth of like Bitcoin and dollars moving, and the fee paid is like $3.75.
Yeah. It's like how many guys do they have checking the public address key?
Right. I know. How many times?
I mean, when you're moving around $100, $500, $1,000, I feel like stressed out until that transaction comes through. So I'm sure most of you out there feel the same way. It looks like your mic is coming in. Metnix is in the house. Shout out
Boom.
to Metnix. He was in the LADZ radio dropping some hot requests. All right, let's move on to the next story here. It looks like Shapeshift delisted Monero. So we know Monero. No. I mean, we know Monero's had not a rough time of it, I would say, but we know that it's on the radar of different governmental groups and different, agencies here. So I guess it didn't come out in an announcement, but it looks like Monero and Dash are no longer available on Shapeshift. I believe my man. Let's see. I believe Eric did say something about this. So, down here it says, we chose to delist Monero months ago, but I cannot provide further comment on why at this time. We also have a statement from Brian Armstrong, not directly related to this XMR delisting, but he did comment on Monero. A lot of it is behind the scenes conversations where regulators are kind of saying, we very much don't think you should do this. And then we have the conversation, well, are you telling us that you don't like it? Are you telling us that you're going to sue us if we do it? So it looks like some of these exchanges or like cryptocurrency firms are having issues with listing potential privacy coins. The article also goes on to talk about the Department of Homeland Security getting out probably, I believe, 3 different contracts paid to 3 different firms to try to hack Monero's system of money mixing. So interesting stuff from Monero here. I don't know. Did you have anything there?
Yeah, I think South Korea came out. They said that they're banning the trading of privacy coins in general. So I think it's just that's first step in terms of regulators are clamping down on it. I mean, regulators will continue to do that, but I don't think Monero will be completely banned. People will still use it. Especially with more analytics coming out to track down like BTC and all these stories that we hear, right? The more popular Monero will be in the privacy sector. So I think, they'll start clamping down on it hard, but it will live on.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see as those tools to track, Bitcoin wallets to certain individuals. Obviously, you have the on and off ramps that are heavily regulated. That's, I think, where you can be caught. You've seen the decentralized exchanges where you can make anonymous transactions, no KYC. You can do that on Uniswap right now. It takes 5 seconds. But as far as the on and off ramps, those, I believe, are a lot more heavily regulated. Like, you'll need to be able to, obviously, KYC if you want to transact out of crypto into fiat.
Yeah, absolutely. Cryptofacia made a pretty good point here. Doesn't Shapeshift require KYC, so probably wouldn't be a great platform for privacy anyway. Yeah, it's that's true.
True. Yeah, I think they made that move in 2018. But I don't know if the KYC is. They might have done that in the U.S. only. Don't quote me on that. All right, we're running up to 50. We're at 54.
I saw 56 for a second.
YouTube shows me 55 was the all-time. So 55.
Okay.
We are 2 people away from already hitting all-time high. So I'm going to drop that rewards link when we move into the discussion piece here. But obviously, for contributing today, you guys are earning LADZ. If you don't have a LADZ wallet or a roll wallet for LADZ themselves, you need to get into our Discord, ask questions. We got a lot of cool community members that will help you out. But I'll drop that community rewards link here shortly, and then I will, if we hit 56, which we're getting close to, 57, I will drop that second 2x reward link for today. This is a big story. We kind of buried it in quick news. So if we need to talk more about this, we can. It looks like Vitalik contributed 3,200 ETH to Ethereum's 2.0 deposit contract address. So again, guys, as we see ETH 2.0 start to roll out, we're seeing movement. Obviously, the token increase over the past month has been phenomenal. I think down from a March low of I believe it was 120. Obviously, the whole crypto market was kind of going down there too. But what we see here is kind of a rollout of ETH 2.0, partly these staking pools that need to have ETH deposited in them. And this is an interesting portion here. In order to move on past phase 0, there needs to be 524,000 ETH, constituting 16,384 because you need 32 ETH per validator. We need to hit that point. And so right now, as you can see, it looks like, I don't know, this comes from Dune Analytics. By 11/8, there was only 48,000 ETH deposited into the contract address. Based on this conversation, Vitalik is saying they'll probably see more. There's a spike on day one, and then there's a spike on the last day. So we'll see. I mean, they have till December 1st to get this 524,000 ETH into the contract, but up to this point, right now, there's only 48,000. So I'm not completely positive on if there's like a retroactive, like if we don't hit that amount, if it like goes back, all the ETH is then redistributed to the original addresses. But it looks like Vitalik is doing what he can. So he donated 3,200, not donated, but he deposited 3,200 ETH into these deposit contract addresses.
Yeah, that's very interesting, the data that you just provided, because there's seems to be like a little bit of inconsistency between different sources, because there's another source that's talking about it from tokenview.com, where they're saying that the total received was 50.5K ETH deposited by 229 different validators, which is basically 9.65%. Of the total that's needed. So
I think that's up to date with what I showed via Dune. It's
okay.
Yeah, I think I'm looking at by 11/8 48,000 or 48,000 ETH. So you're saying that
there's a little bit more. Yeah, it's 50.5.
Yeah, so 2,000 a bit more.
Yeah, which is interesting to see that Vitalik deposited about $1.5 million worth of ETH into this. Like, really, man? like why such a small amount? But you also have to understand, like, with this rolling out, since your ETH is going to be locked up, right? So it's you're not going to be able to use it until they're going to start releasing further functionality and all that stuff. So you're basically taking ETH out of circulating supply, which is, technically speaking, is pretty good in relation to the price, because then the less supply you have circulating and trading, the easier it is for the price to go higher, because there's going to be less selling pressure from the people that would otherwise sell maybe ETH if the price gets higher. So now that we're taking that, locking it in indefinitely for now, at least, without any date, I think that should be a pretty good bullish sign for ETH.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of bullish signals from ETH. It looks like Bruno had some insight here. It looks like if they don't reach that 500K or 500K-ish ETH limit, it looks like it will be postponed until it is reached. So then we'll go live 7 days after. So a lot of interesting things. One of the things that we were talking about earlier in the episode, as we kind of almost get to this 56 all-time high, guys. If we hit 57, it's all-time high. We're going to be distributing that second link as well today. But one of the interesting portions about this is who is actually donating to this cause. Now, I wouldn't call it donating again. Distributing to this cause and depositing here. ETH Foundation has a ton of ETH. The early contributors to ETH, Vitalik, like you said, probably has way more than 3,200 ETH. And it'll be interesting to see what that distribution looks like of who is actually depositing into these contracts. Whether it's like a full kind of community-wide depositing kind of event, or is it mainly from those big whales, ETH Foundation, Vitalik himself, who's going to take part in this deposit contract? It'll be interesting to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also interesting to think about the people that do sit on big stacks of ETH. They're probably utilizing some portion of it, let's say, to in the lending and borrowing sphere, right? So they don't want to lose that, right? And this whole point about it is that if you're gonna get into the staking with ETH, then you kind of missing out on other stuff that you can do in terms of lending, borrowing, and earning percentages there. So I think the more we're going to see other products built out where you can use that staked ETH that's available there in some other stuff, like a wrap form or something like that, more people are probably going to start contributing to staking. But I think we're just tipping our toes in it.
Yeah, we talked about the staking pools here. I do want to get to something though. We hit all-time highs. So this is what's happening, guys. I'm dropping the link right now. We are at 58. All-time high was 56. So we've hit our all-time highs today. Shout out to everybody in the chat right now. Guys, we're breaking down the cryptocurrency news this week. You guys are helping us do that. Bring the comments into the comments section. Anything we're talking about, it's a discussion between all of us. It's not just me and Dimitri talking up here by our lonesome. So I'm going to drop the first LADZ rewards link. Here it comes. Let's see if it goes through. But all you got to do is click on that link, and you will be able to receive this round of LADZ links. I will drop it near the end of the episode for that second 2x rewards for this week. So congratulations, everybody. Thank you so much for helping us be what we are.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fantastic to see this. And it looks like Loads Master asking how do some of my army join LADZ, please. So make sure you guys get set up on Roll. So we've dropped that link. That's the website. You can get set up. It's very easy. It takes seconds to set up an account there, and you can claim the drop that we just had. So we definitely would love to have more people from our NFT army join our Discord and our community, and continue to follow things that we do and share their opinions. So definitely take advantage of claiming your tokens, because you will be able to get access to certain levels of Discord where we drop all the good stuff.
Yeah, our Discord is quickly growing out. So if you guys want to get into the description, you can find that link to LADZ City. We're going to be doing a lot of cool things. We actually have a meeting with Sandbox this week, with the Sandbox team, with Sebastian himself. We're going to talk about all the cool things that we can do with LADZ and creating LADZ City within Sandbox. Going to be a lot of cool things. But that community Discord link is down in the description. Click on it. I'm sure our community manager, Brandon, our wonderful members will be helping you out if you have any questions past that. So, boom, that was it. We're halfway through quick news. So let's hit the rest of quick news, and then we can go into discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to take it away from here. It looks like my mic issue is fixed. Fresco is giving me the A-OK here. Yeah, so that's great. So I have, really quick news. First piece of quick news I got is basically BitMEX is accelerating their user verification program. It closed on November 5th. So meaning that if you didn't complete your verification, then basically, if you have open positions, you can't add positions, you can only close positions and withdraw funds. And that's about it. So that was the whole restrictions with them on BitMEX platform, for them to encourage people to do the KYC, because, you're not able to add positions or, per se manage positions and so on if you don't complete the KYC process. And obviously we know BitMEX has been under fire for the KYC mispractices that has occurred in the past. So they want to make sure that they're all good with the current setup there. And it's been interesting to see, BitMEX overall struggle with, the overall open interest on their platform. Liquidity is kind of, drying up a little bit. As a matter of fact, if you take a look at where the Bitcoin price is priced on their, like Bitcoin futures are priced on BitMEX, they're actually quite off, compared to other exchanges. So, and that has to do with the counterparty risk there. So, overall, BitMEX is still alive. It's still, still operating. It's just that, they really need to get this KYC stuff done. And that looks like they've already closed the doors for that on November 5th. So for those people that didn't complete KYC, basically close your positions and bye-bye, get out. So that's the update from BitMEX. The next one I got here is from Circle CEO. So Circle CEO tweeted out, bought $100 in BTC. What a cheap guy on PayPal. $100, man? Like, really? You're the CEO of Circle. Come on. So bought $100 in BTC on PayPal. Great milestone for the markets. Looks like, PayPal is moving forward. Obviously, the functionality looks like is already in there. People can buy BTC there, but obviously they can't withdraw that to like a ledger, let's say. So there are limitations there, right?
Yeah, there's an interesting thing to point out here because we covered this when PayPal first launched. It looks like they had already kind of let out an alpha version to a list of people that were on the original wait list, and there's no fees for these transactions right now. So I don't. They're obviously like using this as an internal date. Like there's probably no physical settlement of Bitcoin that's happening, right? Because they would be losing a significant amount on the transactions if they're not offering transaction fees.
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess they'll see how it's going to perform in terms of transaction fees. They'll probably change it around. It'll be like dynamic probably later on, but in the beginning they'll probably, there won't be really fees in regards to that. I guess maybe it's the fact that like it's not being sent out of their network, like it's not being sent out. Like you can't send it to like my MetaMask, for example.
Got it. Okay. All right. Hey guys, I want to give a huge shout out. All the lads are hyped because we hit the all-time highs. You guys killed it today, man, and we're going to continue to kill it throughout the episode. For those of you that are having issues getting into this link, it's all user error, man. Get the hype up the user error.
Seems like it works. I clicked on it, and it's fine.
Oh, you're claiming LADZ?
No, I'm not claiming. I just clicked on it.
Yeah. Quick screen share.
Exposed.
Hey, hashtag exposed. Yeah, guys, the link's working. I'm seeing people claim here. So if it's from your end, you might need to log out or log back in or do what you need. But that's going to be user error because there's a ton of people coming through actually confirming their earn. So do that quickly before it's all out.
Yeah, absolutely. So it looks like Pinnacle is saying something. Have you guys talked about PayPal's seeming lack of care of BCH forking? That is the elephant in the room. That is actually very interesting. It's like they're adding all these products, but it's like, oh, BCH fork, bam. We'll see how that's gonna, work out there. But that is very interesting.
So what's happening here? They're not distributing the fork of the BCH that they have on in their custody?
Well, I don't think they're going to be honoring the fork for the BCH holders.
So what happens to the BCH? They just
hold BCH like that. Like, good luck.
Sounds legit.
That's gonna be interesting to watch. And PayPal is like, obviously doesn't understand all this stuff. I feel like they're so new, right? So it's like, oh, we're just gonna offer the same stuff that like Coinbase offers and whatever, but we'll see how they're gonna handle those type of situations there. So
got it. Okay, awesome.
All right. So to wrap up the quick news, the last one I got here is some FUD. So if you guys probably, been around crypto Twitter and looking at some FUD in regards to exchanges, that has, there has been no shortage of that. So basically there's, some FUD about Binance and Huobi. And it seems like it's the theme in the market right now where exchanges are under fire from regulators and some players are taking advantage of it and spreading some misinformation. Something that we've seen in the past where it's like, oh, the Binance office gets raided, but it's like, really, did not. CC comes out, explains, everything. And then, the latest thing that happened was with the Huobi basically talking about that regulators are pressuring them and there's like, some movement of funds and they're going to be the next ones that are going to take a hit, just like OKX. And again, it has to go back with the sentiment overall right now when it comes to exchanges. Everybody's watching these regulators slowly, kind of take hits on these exchanges like BitMEX, OKX, that probably still has withdrawals disabled. And they're afraid, right? They're afraid when they're trading with these exchanges that it might happen to their exchange and their funds will be locked in there, right? So anytime there's some kind of a FUD out there that is not confirmed and misinformation, it actually does have a big impact on the exchange because people just rush in, they're like start getting out. Even if it's not true, they don't know, right? They're still like, okay, maybe if it's true, if it's not, I'm just going to move my funds anyway. And that causes quite a bit of disruption in the market right now. When it comes to some of these centralized exchanges that have been operating for some time, and some of them are getting under attack by the regulators, and the others that are not being attacked by regulators, there is some FUD and misinformation about how they're being attacked, which is causing people to shuffle things around. So
it's amazing how widespread some of the FUD that happens in Asia becomes. I feel like the Huobi announcement where the rumor that Huobi was going to have that same OKX situation happen was very prominent. It was like, oh yeah, it's imminent. This is about to happen. Like, what? And it was just made up. It's amazing how well that FUD carries over time over there. So
Yeah, and of course, Huobi came out and said like, listen, this is all not true, and they point out the fact that like, hey, listen, this is something that as an industry we have to be very careful, and when we look at the information and the sources of information, make sure we do our due diligence before we act, right? And
True. Okay. All right. Well, we're at the discussion portion of the episode. We got through breaking. We got through quick news. I would have liked to touch on some of the ETH 2.0 stuff and hear what you guys have to say a little bit more, but I feel like we just have a packed episode today. So if you guys have any more comments on ETH 2.0, feel free to drop them as we get into discussion here. We're going to talk about FTX. We're going to talk about election results and what that means for Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto markets, as well as the rise or the creation of an NFT based DAO, where instead of people holding a certain amount of tokens and that is your vote weight or vote ratio, you're going to have, upgradable and unique NFTs. So we'll talk about DAO governance there too. So we always, in this portion of the episode, we want more than often, we want your input. So down there, right there, hit it, get it away. We're gonna break out the piece of news, and then you guys are gonna go ahead and join us in this discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it looks like Scott is in the house, mostly just listening today. Great to have you, sir, on board. So enjoy this episode, and let's hop into discussions. Obviously, we have the outcome of the election that came out. There's still some beef between the two candidates, obviously, but it looks like there is a president-elect now, and things are going to start moving forward in terms of him becoming president in January. But it's interesting, because the market overall has been kind of waiting to see who's going to win, because you have two things that happen. You have right before kind of the election results, there was a FOMC meeting where the Federal Reserve was discussing the economic kind of status of like where we are now. And then there was a election piece, which is kind of dictates kind of the fiscal side of things, how they're going to be projected onto the economy and more fiscal stimulus and all that stuff. But before we get into that, it's interesting to note, first of all, for those DGen guys that watch us that might have participated in betting in prediction markets, prediction markets have been absolutely crazy. There's somebody who dropped like 5 million on like prediction markets in terms of Trump winning. We saw on the election day, we saw basically Trump win, which is is an FTX product that ranges from 0 to 1. If Trump wins, then it's going to be $1. If Trump loses, then it's going to be 0, and anything in between is pretty much the chances. So it was interesting to see how, like, on the election day, that was actually pumped all the way to like 80 cents, to like 80%, and then it absolutely got dumped like crazy. And as more information, just for those guys that might not be aware of this, the way this election went is very different. For those that are not in the U.S., we had two different ways of basically casting your vote. It's either you go to the polls and cast your vote, or you mail it in. So it was very regular in terms of counting the votes, because you have the mail side of things, right? That's kind of the snail mail, right? It takes time to get there, and then you have the actual that are casted at the polls. So that created quite a bit of volatility there, when it comes to prediction markets as well as traditional markets. And then so basically when the turnout happened, where basically Biden was elected, a lot of people went to Sam and FTX, and they were like, hey, listen, man, like, there's still some stuff. They're going to recount the votes, right? They're going to investigate. There's some beef, there's some irregularities, blah, blah. And, we don't think it's fair for you to close down basically that FTX product that you had, and make the people who hold Trump win lose, basically, because it's not over yet. So Sam came out and he created the futures market for this that expires in February 2021. That is going to be the Trump token, basically. And you're looking at that on the screen, which is very interesting. It's funny because if there's no decision, or Trump doesn't win, that's when it goes down to zero. But right now it's priced at 11 cents, and I don't know. It was very interesting to see how prediction markets are reacting to stuff like this.
It wasn't like an unprecedented result, right? Because you kind of came out and you immediately, when the polls started closing, it was like, oh, Trump's going to win this in a landslide, and that's what a lot. Listen, crypto Twitter is a hard beast to define, but at least in my realm of crypto Twitter, there's probably more Trump, I wouldn't say advocates, but more people were probably voting for Trump than Biden. And it was just interesting to see. Even Pomp was coming out. I think Pomp was, and I hate to kind of speculate on who he voted for, but based on his tweets, it looked like he was a Trump supporter there, or at least voted for him. And it was interesting, man, because all of this flood came in. We were like, Trump's got this by a landslide. You saw the token price, like you said, go to like 80 cents. It was over, and then the mail-in votes started happening. And to those that are involved in conspiracy theories or like to go down that rabbit hole, there was definitely a giant one to go down with what happened, and then and it's funny they have the vaccine coming out today. That was interesting timing, I think, to a lot of us that are, again, more conspiracy theory evangelists. It was just an interesting time, obviously, but that's par for the course. It's 2020. It could not have, this is 2020. I would be surprised if it didn't happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think another thing that what you pointed out, in terms of like these different people in crypto that, may voted for a certain candidate or may not. Well, for Sam from FTX, it's pretty clear, because it's pretty crazy. There was an article that came out saying how much basically Sam has donated to Biden campaign, and it's $5.2 million that he donated to Biden campaign, which puts him like one of the biggest donators to the campaign. I think it was like close to Bloomberg, which is like crazy. Let me see. I think it was mentioned somewhere in the article.
It says Mr. Biden's top contributor after Bloomberg was Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yep.
5.2 million.
That's crazy.
So it was an interesting time. I think, where this comes from, at least in my opinion, crypto Twitter has a healthy mistrust for any government body. I think we're all in this in some form or fashion, maybe some more than others, because we're kind of anarchistic against the traditional banking system, which has ties to the federal system. And it's just we have a healthy mistrust of government bodies. And I think that based on what we've seen, it's easy to, I think, go down the route of, okay, what the hell actually happened here? And I'm not gonna, again, we always talk about this not being an Alex Jones podcast. It was just super interesting the way that it played out, and that's as far as I'll go down that rabbit hole with anybody. But yeah,
absolutely.
Like Paul's saying, this is not a political show, so we won't go too far down that.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's what we do want to talk about is kind of what it means in terms of, how is it going to affect crypto and so on, now that we do have, elections kind of done, and we have the Fed, right? So a very important thing that, and I kind of mentioned this on the desk, is that the federal, open market committee that happened, which was on Thursday, and it's interesting to see, what their assessment of the economy is and what their projections are. Now, this is very important because, if they're going to talk about in terms of more stimulus and more, interest rates being very low for a long time, then that's going to benefit, the whole rhetoric about Bitcoin going higher and crypto going higher, because that's being used as a hedge. And we got the ultimate, the best scenario here, because the Fed came out and they said, listen, first of all, the economy was performing under our benchmark before the pandemic. Now we're way, under the benchmark. So we're gonna keep the rates at 0 to negative now, which means that money cannot be sitting in the banks now. Big money doesn't want, can't stay in the banks because they're going to be losing money, because negative rates or zero rates, right? So what it forces people to put money into, assets and stocks, for example, right? bonds you can't really do because bonds are doing trash, interest, so they're absolutely getting destroyed. So then, commodities, maybe even Bitcoin as an alternative asset that maybe is coming online, and people starting to diversify into that.
Well, gold got ripped today. That's one of the things
Yep.
that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, that's interesting because if you take a look at gold today, it went down about 5.5. Well, it's still down almost 4.5% today, but it went down like 5.5%. But it didn't recover for the day. While Bitcoin, when it went down, about 6% today from top to bottom, we've already recovered it, almost all of it, and we're for the day just down 0.5%. So it's like, you can see the buying pressure is there for BTC, and looks like gold is taking a little bit of a cooling there. So I think in general, like the federal projection in terms of monetary policies, they're saying, hey, listen, this is going to be a lot of stimulus, credit is going to be very cheap, interest rates are going to be very low, which is basically music to Bitcoin ears. If that's going to continue to happen, then they're going to target higher inflation. Inflation should go higher, and so on. And that's going to, essentially benefit BTC in the longer run.
Yeah, and I think we've come up to the conversation that is in our thumbnail, which is the bull about to return? I think we've seen a remarkable kind of comeback from DeFi. I mean, that was to the point where there was a lot of DeFi influencers that were coming in and saying, "Oh, we're at month one of a year-long, 2-year-long DeFi like bear market cycle or something like that." And then literally within the next 7 days, you see Aave, I think, is up like 80%. Synthetics is up 60%. Wi-Fi did a good amount from their, I think, low of like around 9K. I would have to bring it up, but I think it's sitting at somewhere around 15 or 16K. Is this the kind of return of DeFi, and are we at a point where we could say like, okay, we've kind of gotten past the turmoil of the election? Maybe that was kind of holding the crypto down. Is that where we're at? Is this the start of maybe a bull? Again, not investment advice. Is this the start of maybe a bull market?
Yeah, I absolutely, I think so, for sure. But I think what's going to happen is that specifically in relation to like BTC, because if you talk about DeFi stuff, it's mainly the participants that have been already in crypto and got revived because now they have this new utility they can use with the tokens that they've been holding that have been losing a lot of value. So the DeFi space will come around again. But in relation to the BTC specifically, you have to think about that we had more institutional buying, recently, which has been, pushing the prices up, and the retail has been kind of catching up a little bit. So we haven't really seen a big flock of retail hopping in like we've seen back in the day, 2018 or 17, where they basically just like, that's it, I'm buying it, and going crazy, that super euphoria market, right? So, and that's something that I think is going to happen, which is going to cause BTC to overshoot like it usually does, and it's going to cause volatility. So if we, hop from like where we are now to like 18 to 20,000, and then drop from like that to like 12,000, that shouldn't be a surprise, because of just based on historically how things kind of work out for BTC after the rips higher. There are times when it actually drops quite a bit because it gets overshot. Retail ends up flocking in at the top, and then they get burned. So the way to really play this in the longer term is just to slow, if you believe that BTC is going to rise in the long term, just slowly average into your spot positions and buy it, and just buy and hold and let it chill, let it be there. But greed takes over.
Yeah.
And people,
I wonder,
allocate more than they should.
I wonder if you wouldn't ask most of us who've been in for a long time, if at the very beginning of your foray into crypto, if you had just like said, okay, I'm just going to average into Bitcoin every month, if that wouldn't have been the better trend to go with than trying to, like you're saying, greed takes over. You want to get these altcoin gains. I wonder if you wouldn't go back in 3 or 4 years and say, just buy Bitcoin, it'll be better for you. One of the indicators I wanted to ask about is this Bitcoin interest over time as a search term in Google. You see that they kind of peaked out here in January. So in basically the ICO kind of previous bull run that we saw back then. And you see kind of not what we've seen over time, right? And you could use this Bitcoin search term as an indicator for retail interest. What is and I kind of shared this with Mike, and Mike was saying that most people know about Bitcoin at this point, which I would probably push back on. Now, obviously, he's not here to defend his point, but to my process, I think it's a little bit of thinking in a bubble if we say that everybody knows about Bitcoin at this point. I think it's easy to kind of hype yourself up on that actual statement. I do think he has a point, though. There's a lot of people did search that term back in 2017, 2018 over time. So maybe that Google Trends is not as big of an indicator. What should be the indicator? Is it creation of accounts in Coinbase? What are you looking at to say, okay, retail is coming in?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think I would kind of disagree with Mike as well, because you also have to think about if retail is flocking into Bitcoin, they're not searching for Bitcoin to find out more about what Bitcoin is, but they're also searching Bitcoin to maybe even find out what the price of Bitcoin is at that time, or even some news maybe about Bitcoin, right? Something related that necessarily just explains like what it is, or some people may be searching like how to get it in their countries or whatnot. So I think that still could be a pretty good indication. But in general, I think one of the best indicators is when your close friends start hitting you up, and they're like, "Hey man, how do I get this Bitcoin thing?" Like, and so on. When you have seen BC talk about Bitcoin, potential targets to the upside, but I really look for the spot volume that I track on Sunday. As you guys know, I put out that sentiment analysis yesterday where I covered the spot volume from retail sector. And you can also see how they're positioning themselves, right? So you can see how many long positions and short positions and what the ratio is. If we have like 80% people long in retail, then you can probably say that, hey, we are in euphoria, and a lot of people, are trying to FOMO in at the current prices. And usually that ends up to be, in the opposite end, right? Because we do know that retail generally loses, right? So that's what I'm watching for, to see that getting skewed. So if we get a lot of more people along on one end and try to FOMO in, that will be kind of the indication like we might be reaching some local tops. But in general, we're still in the uptrend, right? So that doesn't mean, for those bears out there to come out, and start banging the drums, right? It's not the time. What you should be doing is waiting for these pullbacks. And, maybe if you're an investor, you can, not a financial advice, you could, basically average cost in on the dips, right? So if dip happens, you buy a little bit there. So, and that's pretty much the idea, is the market is, showing bullish signs, and that's going to remain, but the volatility is going to pick up. That doesn't mean we can't drop like 10-20%.
It'll be interesting to see how these big firms deal with the volatility. I think what we've seen from a lot of the guys that got in 2 or 3 months ago, they're doing fairly well, like the MicroStrategy guys and stuff like that. So, all right, guys, we got about 38 of you in the chat right now. Obviously, this is the discussion piece of the episode here, and we're talking about how the election results and how all of these things are affecting Bitcoin at this point. So let us know what you guys think. I'm going to go through some previous comments, but I did pull up Bitcoin price as a search term, and it kind of reflects that same chart of just regular Bitcoin. So that was a fair point to make, that price or that term should be shooting up in search terms if you see the retail kind of in at that point. So fair to say. Let's see. So we had some comments on the election results. Again, I agree with Paul. This isn't a political show, but you again, there's definitely rabbit holes to go down. If you want to hop in the Discord and talk to us about it, we'll be more than happy to do that with you. Let's see. One point that I did want to make, and Bullseye kind of made it for me here. Digital anonymous voting with retina scans from a phone should be possible to implement now. Anybody could disagree with the results of what happened. Well, if someone does disagree with this point, though, that we should be doing this a different way in 2020, then I can't help you. Mm-hmm. The fact that we are mailing in votes in 2020, like it's 1885, and the Pony Express comes and gets your mail-in ballot and takes it to the city hall. It's like, what the hell? it's reflective of the governmental systems that move very, 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 very slowly. But we should be doing this a different way. And that's one point we'll all end that conversation. I don't know. Did you have anything before? It looks like P Knuckle had a funny comment there as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree with Bullseye said, and I completely agree with what you mentioned. What did P Knuckle say?
He said, "Go ahead, you got it."
I'm just waiting for the day when politician bets against themselves on the crypto market to head. That is a good one. Yeah, that is true. That is interesting. Yeah, we'll see what's going to happen there. But just to kind of wrap this up, like overall, the fiscal side of things is looking very good in terms of outlook for BTC, because that administration should be pro stimulus, as far as the fiscal side goes. So more money is looking like it's going to be distributed to people that were impacted and so on, which will essentially should stir up the inflation, which should translate in BTC strength.
Boom. Okay. Yep. All right. We'll move on to the next piece of discussion here. Real quick portion of the discussion. We talked about this on NFT Live the other week, or last week specifically. It looks like Mintable is launching a DAO based on NFT tokens. So ERC721 tokens, not ERC20s. There's a lot of interesting points of discussion here, but basically they're running their DAO. Now, if you don't know what Mintable is, it's basically allowing people to buy and sell NFTs, much like you see on OpenSea, but they are launching this NFT DAO or NFT-based DAO system that we kind of want to get into, and want to get your comments as well. So they go into talking about how traditional DAOs are set up, and then they talk about what the benefits of an NFT DAO is. So I'll throw out a couple here. Past the fact that they're completely novel and there's no ERC20s. They're saying voting power is earned directly via participation and engagement in the platform. Governance of future direction and features of the Mintable platform cannot be pumped and dumped, as it is non-fungible compared to the ERC20 DAOs. Each person has their own unique NFT that can be traded or purchased. You can add certain features to these NFTs and allow also revenue kind of earning possibilities. So I don't know kind of where to start with this discussion, but let's talk about the difference between the traditional type DAOs when it comes to the value of a token, right? Mm-hmm. We see a lot of DAOs today, and a lot of tokens are just created, and almost the fallback is like, hey, this is going to be a governance token, right? Like that's always the utility. And that does things to the price. There's some game mechanics around it. So do you think that this NFT DAO mechanic can be a better process than one that's being traditionally set up with ERC20 tokens that are fungible, tradable on exchanges, and yada, yada?
Yeah, it certainly can. The whole issue that we have with the governance tokens is that this market is ran mainly by speculators, right? When speculators are getting in, the price of that token increases, and that drives more speculation, where those people don't really care about the governance. Like the guys who are getting in those tokens, they don't care about the proposals. They don't care about like the network governance and all that, jazz. They just want to buy low and sell high and get out of it, and that's it. So the whole thing that they're trying to address here is that speculative factor, that, to isolate the speculators from, basically influencing the price that will attract more speculators to get in. And then you go through this period of pump and dump where the governance token shouldn't even, kind of have that functionality there, because the governance token should be used just, for voting and kind of like on proposals and so on. But, we'll see how that's going to work out, because it's an interesting experiment that they're going to be doing, the way that they're breaking this down, right? Mm-hmm. In order how you can accumulate these votes.
Yeah, it is interesting, and I appreciate you kind of leading us into that portion of the discussion. We've already seen Rari launch their governance token, right? And how did people get Rari? They use the actual platform. Makes sense. The problem with Rari that we've seen, and now potentially a problem with Mintable, which is something I'd love to kind of talk to you guys about in the discussion. You get an NFT, essentially the first time you trade on this platform. So I buy something for something else. The first time I do that, I get the voting NFT. So now I can take part in the governance. Although in order to actually create a proposal, you need 10,000. So the way this works is I get the NFT the first time. The second time I make a trade, I get the actual NFT, and then I get whatever I bought, and I get another one of this voting token, and adds up. So you're adding to your pool over time. You need 10,000 to actually do it. So getting to the point here, it's going to be wash traded. Right? Like in order to get more votes, to do things on the platform, to govern, to earn staking rewards, you're going to do all these things. You can wash trade yourself into getting more of these voting tokens, much like you see on Rari. And maybe it's something we missed, but based on the mechanics that we see right in front of us, someone is earning these tokens via activity on the actual platform, and it looks like it can be gamed.
Yeah, it's tough, right? Because it's like on paper it sounds great, right? This is what should be done, but when you start releasing to the market, the gaming starts, right? And people start to try to figure out how to game it. I wonder if there's the ability to, like, let's say they restrict certain addresses, right? To, like, they see the bounces, right, between the two addresses, and they're kind of farming this. If they restrict the trade between those two addresses, then that person can create a new address and continue to do that perpetually. So it's tough to isolate it to make it non-gameable, and that's really kind of going to be all through experiments and see which one works the best and just on the fly. But absolutely, there's so many ways. Like if you just wash trade and continue to get that, in order to have more influence when it comes to governance. Yeah, absolutely. Another question is that, it's not ERC20. It can be, let's say, traded like in the markets that we know, like Uniswap and so on. But if there is going to be enough interest in terms of like accumulating that token in order to vote on some kind of proposal, I'm sure there's going to be some secondary markets. I'm not sure if there's any restrictions in terms of transferring those tokens to a different address, or if there are restrictions in that, then people can just sell their wallets. It's hard to really make this thing where it's like non-sellable, basically, because if there's a buyer that's going to be willing to buy it, even though if it's not ERC20, not traded on open market, they're going to do this OTC.
It's this game theory stuff is awesome. It's one of my favorite things about crypto, to be honest. I know it sounds like we're shitting on Mintable DApp, but all we're doing is calling out what might happen. We're not doing that whatsoever. Is shitting on it. I want to point out NFT Hub made a good point. It looks like $1 equals 1 point. So it's not one transaction, then they get one vote. So they don't need to do this 10,000 times. It's literally, if they make a $1,000 transaction, they get 1 point added to their NFT vote. So this could all happen within one transaction. You can potentially wash trade enough to actually even start putting out proposals. So it'll be it'll be interesting to see what happens. It looks like they're also selling on a bonding curve. So the second method of getting votes is via a bonding curve. The DAO contract will sell NFT votes starting at $250 per vote, up to 10 million. So interesting stuff. I think they're doing innovative things. We're just calling out what we've seen already on Rari. So it'll be interesting to see what they do, with this process.
It's tough, man. Like, governance, like the issues about governance has been around for a while, and it's like impossible to get a perfect setup, right? We've seen many tries and different scenarios and setups, and the outcomes of that, and we're slowly kind of progressing, trying new things, and using the stuff that worked with the stuff that we don't know if it worked or not. We're experimenting further. But it's a tough battle, right? It's very hard to get that perfect, setup. There's always going to be some kind of thing in the market that will continuously, try to game it and break it and so on.
I think, and this could also potentially be solved with NFTs, although like we talked about with Andrew, this would be an NFT that isn't like a collectible, but more of an ID that can be upgraded over time. That's what's really cool about NFTs is you can have
it's a certificate,
it's kind of a certificate, but it's also reputation inside of an ID system. So I think that's what we're getting at, right? Like people with reputation have something to lose, and when you set that system up, you have something to lose by being a bad actor. So
like a social shaming.
Almost, yeah, but even, and this is goes down the black mirror, is like when you get to a certain point of low reputation, then you can't even access the platform. That would be
okay.
So you would need to build reputation up over time. If you mess that up, your reputation goes below a certain level. If you want to create another wallet, okay, but you would need to go through the reputation building process again.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's up?
No, I mean, absolutely. There's so many different theories and scenarios that are like playing out that, that makes it exciting to like kind of talk about. And, we'll see, what's going to happen. When are they launching? The app is live, right?
The app is live. It looks like they're launching this DAO setup. DAO Mintable version 2.0 goes live end of November.
Oh, okay.
So you can start earning / buying mints and NFTs. So interesting stuff. I think they'll have another token that's associated with their platform, possibly. Or maybe Mint is the actual token that is the NFT that is distributed from like a voting perspective. So we'll keep an eye on Mintable. I haven't been a huge user of that platform, to be honest. Most of my NFT trading goes on through OpenSea. So it'll be interesting to see where they go over time. But competition's not a bad thing. So
yeah, absolutely.
Cool stuff. All right, so we've got the discussion piece. We appreciate all of the comments that are coming through. Let's see. It looks like we're still kind of on the election talk a little bit. Thomas is saying every system users will try to gamify and make the most profit. I don't think trading is the best way to distribute tokens. Let's see. Look at Instadapp DeFi farming gamification. It's in masternodes. Yeah. So look, we see a lot of experimentation. That's what's so cool about having these different talks on the channel. So definitely good stuff. We appreciate you guys following us along. We are into EOS now, so I'm going to move the old ticker over. We're going to talk a little bit about EOS. Obviously, it's seen better days from a community standpoint, a price standpoint, but we do want to get to some of these comments from the public blockchain engagement guys that are going to be heading up essentially exactly that, which is engaging with the community on within the EOS community. We got a comment from Rick Schleringer. So as you can see, public blockchain engagement, he's working at Block 1, and the only thing he commented is on November 7th, get ready. Now there's a couple other comments that have come from the PBE, Kevin Rose, the guys who were at EOS New York who got kind of absorbed into Block 1. They've been making some public comments. It's funny, Crab is saying here, Rude Mud Crab is one of the EOS influencers, been ready. We all had our best dresses on for about 3 years. We're over ready, which I think is the sentiment that most of the EOS community has had, over the past, I believe, month. I think the Google news was kind of staving off a lot of this negative energy, and then when it launched, you saw an appreciation in token price. But once that kind of faded away, I think we've seen a lot of the EOS community get upset is probably the word I would use. They feel like it's not working, and Block 1, Brendan, Dan have been under fire, and that's the easy way to put it. They've been absolutely getting hammered by the community, which maybe they're right to do it, maybe not. I'm gonna pull up some tweet thread from Cheney Moore, who's done a great job. Cheney's done an absolutely great job with trying to be, I think, the voice of reason within the EOS community. I think he's putting out this quote here, without reference to Brendan, Dan, or Block 1, price aside, what are some things that we, the EOS community, can do to turn the current sentiment around and making a more inviting place to outsiders? I love what 2Bits says here. He says, build a world-class website that serves as a place store to dApps, developer tools, PBE, integrate a better wallet, integrate the voice-verified users, give everyone free EOS accounts, run it through EOS DAC for governance. I can go into the comments that were left on Cheney's thread. A lot of it is about the community and about Block 1 and the lack of moves from Block 1.
It's interesting. Scott mentioned here a comment, I'm still making profits trading with the DeFi platform that's built on EOS, which is fantastic. I was going to ask about that. It's interesting how these guys come out and they're like, all right, price aside, and then this other stuff aside, which is like actually part of the main issues, like what can we focus on that to make these things better? But really, like, it's like what can we build, what can we do, and all this stuff. But at the end, it really comes down to if there's going to be more users, if the EOS platform is going to be built out more and more, how is that going to be reflected on the price, right? It seems like there was this understanding when people were getting into EOS that eventually all these users in the network build out the way it's structured, that it will, there will be more demand from the market to buy EOS in order to have access to that network, which should result in the appreciation of that token. But that hasn't happened. And now it's like, they're coming back and saying, hey, listen, we can't influence the EOS price. And aside from EOS price, like, what can we do? And it's interesting because I feel like it might have been maybe miscommunication or misunderstanding, between the community and the people that were leading this project or still leading this project. It's like people are hung up by the fact that some of the stuff that's happening and with Google and with voice and all these things that are kind of being released, they're not being reflected in the price. And if you take a look at EOS BTC price, like you hate when I bring that chart up. It's incredibly low. It's EOS BTC. EOS is trading where it was trading back in 2017 against BTC. Which is like, it's tough when you have these type of people that are sitting on these tokens and want to support EOS and so on, but they've been beat down for some time with the market and their expectations that they had for how the success of EOS and all these things that they're releasing and all the money that they got from fundraising is not kind of coming back to the original seeders, right? The people that put money into this project in the beginning, knowing that it's going, they will maybe reap some profits from it later.
Yeah, it's an interesting discussion, and in a lot of times as investors, as traders, we have to be able to like disassociate emotion from what's going on, but that's not what's happening with EOS. I feel like at this point it's become so emotional between the community, and that's what I think, regardless of everything else, I think Block One really did kind of just fail the EOS community in general from a communication standpoint. Now maybe they had reasons for that. Maybe that we don't
regulatory
know about.
Regulatory stuff,
all that stuff.
Yeah.
But from the outside looking and knowing what we know and not knowing what Block One knows, the only estimation that I can make is that Brendan and Dan have let down the community, and it comes with tweets like this. I'm gonna pull it up one more time. It's from the public blockchain engagement group that was set up by Block One that we talked about EOS VC. Let's not even go there.
Oh,
you know
no.
what I'm saying? Like, we're not even going there. But this guy has the balls to say, get ready, period, with nothing else associated. Do you know how many times that and it's reflected in all the comments.
Yeah.
We've seen this shit. So I find myself getting emotional about it just from the fact that these guys, but I'll give it to the other guys. If the price was, $8, $9, nobody would care. But it's the combination of the two that's happening. So
and it's a good point. It's like we don't know really what's happening behind the doors, right? Because it's like, well, if they are, making profit and all that stuff, they can't technically go out on the market and buy EOS or like, to kind of prop up the price or give back to the community, maybe due to regulatory stuff, right? Because then that starts classifying as like a security, right, or something like that, where you're sharing profits with the investors. So it's tough, right? And obviously, when you raise that amount of money, all eyes are going to be on you from the regulators. They did have a settlement, right, that they reached. But in general, like, I think there are restrictions that prevent them from doing massive like things like that would steer up the price up.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I would like to see some type of way where, from a decentralized point of view, you could kind of get some portion of allocation of whatever Block One has, right? We know about their huge stack. We know that they're doing well with the investments they made, but it'd be nice to see If they can't handle it, move it to someone else. And EOSVC was not the answer, whoever the hell was dealing with EOSVC. But in the same vein of what that EOSVC was supposed to do, that's what people want to see. You know, you have some money. Let's build this. You know, they see it as not only are you not. It almost felt like EOSVC was like actively against EOS. You know what I'm saying? Like it was almost a negative connotation, not even a baseline. It was actively like making EOS worse, which is not what you want to see.
I hate like to make this comparison, but it sounds more like the relationship between Ripple and XRP. You know, where it's like Ripple is like did the XRP, but now they're like, you know what, like we're not associated with XRP as token price, and that's not us. Like we're Ripple, we're like doing this other cross-border payment stuff, you know, and so on. So it's tough.
Yeah, Scott, there's a couple comments coming through from EOS here. It looks like Bruno's saying, I've tried EOS, but it's hard to get around the entry difficulty. Trade EOS for EOS so you can use the thing. It doesn't make sense. So a lot of dApps on EOS, and I'll commend them for doing this. Most every dApp that is using the EOS main chain handles the transactions for you. So it's really like interacting with Wax in that way. You're not like, you don't have to stake any type of EOS like you used to have to do to interact with the system. And that's how it will look in the future. dApps will handle the transactions and all that stuff for the user, so you won't have to. Now, wallet onboarding is a whole other issue. I was having trouble onboarding with Anchor, which apparently was like the best wallet on EOS. If I'm having issues, there's going to be guys that are having a ton of issues. So wallet onboarding is one thing, but once you get on the system, the dApps are handling all that stuff for you. You know, it's literally. I mean, Wax is using EOS.io tech. It should be that easy, right? So we'll see going forward. The one thing I will do to bow tie this conversation, I would hope, like Scott is saying right now, let's make our own worker proposal system, LADZ. I would hope that the EOS community, after getting all of this out, it's almost like you're getting into a fight with your ex. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, after you get all this out, let's work on a way to make it better, you know, because it is early. You know, 2 years from now, they might, and there's a lot of plans. Maybe this guy saying ready does have something to say. But until then, let's figure out a way after we get all this shit out of our system, then let's move forward and let's figure out ways. And that's what Cheney's doing. I'll give him another shout out. So, all right.
Yeah. Imagine investing in Google, but then Google, you know, becoming this $1 trillion market, and your holding is worth nothing.
Yeah. Unless Block One fucks up anymore, I will make sure to make these EOS portions less emotional. I feel like it's gotten there, right? But I feel like my views as a community member mirror the community in general a lot of times. So next time, guys, next week it's up from here. That's all I'll have to say.
This is the bottom.
Get ready. That's what any observation.
Get ready. Oh, nice. That's awesome.
I want to shout out to Any Observation as well. He actually got, we had comments about Atari the other day, and Any Observation got our NFT live episode to the Wax team. We actually are sitting down with the Wax team based on Any Observation getting our NFT live episode over there. So shout out to Any there. Looks like Metnik's account based is a bit more of a barrier.
That's talking about probably.
Oh, yeah. Wombat is super easy. So we're getting a ton of comments. So appreciate you guys showing up and dropping your comments, man. You guys are really making this episode a great one. We hit all-time high, so I'm going to drop the link here in about 10-20 minutes. So Dima, take it away.
Yeah.
DeFi.
Yeah. Before we hop into DeFi, next section looks like Orlando. When your neighbor starts shilling BTC, run the other way. So that's pretty much the indication probably with the market euphoria that we covered earlier, where, you know, when you start having like grandmas, grandpas start asking about that stuff, it's probably a local top for now. We should probably be very cautious. But let's hop into DeFi. You know, there's lots of things that happen in DeFi that even though the prices are kind of, you know, not reflecting that, it's going through a period of cooling, which is normal. But some of the stuff that we want to mention is specifically in regards to the Harvest finance. As you guys remember, Harvest Finance was exploited by the hacker. The guy, took, what is it, like 25 million. Then he felt bad and he gave 2.5 million back. And now Harvest Finance is basically figuring out a way to redistribute the funds that they got, portion of back to the people that were impacted. And they describe that here. So they basically talk about that the 2.5 million that they got back from that person that, I don't want to call him hacker, but the one who exploited the system. Trader, basically. So the 2.5 million is going to be distributed to the people that get affected. So it means that if you had a drawdown of $100, then that means you're going to get $7.39 back. But the difference between how much you had to draw down and how much you got back is going to be actually in the form of a token, which is they call grain. So you're going to be getting grain, which is going to be the difference between, how much you're going to get USDC back, or, that stable coin that you lost. And it's going to be in a form of like grain that will eventually kind of, be like the IOU type of setup that they'll figure out later on how to, deal with it.
Yeah, as Modi's saying, it's actually opportunistic trader. That's
there you go. Yeah, that is the one. Yeah, that's Modi. You got it.
He's coming through. So what's up, Stacy? What's going on, man? We just finished up talking about discussion as well as EOS. So you are in the DeFi portion, so right on time. So we're talking about this grain token, which is basically them creating a token out of thin air to try to make their people whole, other than the USD that they will also get. What does this remind you of?
So yeah, that reminds me of Bitfinex, right? So Bitfinex did that a couple times actually. So, they've done it when they were hacked back in the day and the funds were stolen. Then they issued basically Tether as a form of like IOUs, and they said that it was going to be no redemption for it. Then redemption came. Then Bitfinex also, released Leo. Also, again, same type of stuff where it's like it's an IOU, it's like a point system of finding out how many people are affected and keeping the tally there. So it's like a certificate of its own debt. And there's it's interesting because the way Bitfinex came out of this, they actually ended up repaying the affected investors or traders that were hacked back in the day. So that turned out to be all right. But there's no clear path right now for Harvest in terms of describing the process, how they're gonna proceed with this grain, because when Bitfinex came out, they outlined a pretty clear path in terms of like how Leo is going to be, and that's something that one of the guys in the comments there mentioned. They're gonna need to have a clear picture of what's going to happen with this grain, right? So
yeah, there is some comments that are coming through. So grain holders receive buybacks using a percentage of cash flow. Grain can be staked together with farm and Uniswap to receive farm incentives. So it looks like they're adding some game models. Pinochle saying, if LADZ ever has to release an IOU token, can we call it NADS?
Yeah, hopefully, yeah, we don't get to that, right? So
I can't think of a scenario where we would get to that.
Right, exactly. So yeah, that's pretty much Harvest. Just want to guys give an update for those maybe that did participate with them. This is kind of their approach. It's even though there's no clear picture, we do have samples from the market in the past where these things have been done and how they went about. So expect kind of a similar type of setup with Harvest Finance, and like LADZ already mentioned, there's going to be the utility there in terms of mining and so on. The next thing is basically in the announcement that came from PiDAO, and it's basically this index for DeFi plus, which is fantastic because the more indices we have in our nice industry here, the better, because it kind of smooths out the overall volatility. It helps investors to get exposure to many different assets through a single product, and it just makes more sense, because if it's been proven in traditional finance. If you're going to be picking, let's say, well, first of all, it's been proven in traditional finance that the index outperforms in general, right? So we know that in a long period of time, the index outperforms, hedge funds or even funds that like buy individual stocks by themselves. And that's kind of what's being applied here, and if you take a look, let's say if you buy, separately different DeFi tokens, you would underperform the index by a lot. And they break that index into 70-30, which is, 70 being the, what they call, what is it? The high cap market cap. And then,
they call it DeFi plus L, and DeFi plus S is the
small and large.
Yep.
So large market cap, and small. So basically 70 large cap and then 30% small. And the beauty of this thing is that it automatically rebalances itself, and without specifically also the fee that they mention that they don't charge for rebalancing, which is, let me see if I can find the name of that fee, which other indices do charge that. Streaming fee basically. So there's a streaming fee basically that is charged on other indices. This one is not going to be part of it, and they talk about how you can get exposure to that sector and automatically be rebalanced, which, if the whole sector is going down, well, guess what? The index is not going to go down as much because you're exposed to all of these assets, compared to being exposed to a single asset in a basket, and how much of a drawdown you would have. So it's a great product. I think, overall, the more indices we're going to get, again, it's going to expand the ability for investors to get exposure to the sector overall that's automatically rebalanced, and help traders kind of capture that and be more, competitive when it comes to returns, rather than picking themselves these tokens.
So bull market cycle, do you want to be involved in an index? I know from a bears, when it starts to turn and you see the market kind of go south, you want to be in an index because it kind of redistributes and you're not in like a 70% loss when you're obviously distributed amongst all of those. But in a bull market, do you want to be out of the index, or when you see that?
That is a very good question, and that's something that I was listening to the podcast today. Christopher Cole was explaining this, where it really comes down to the fact to two type of traders, and it's really those that are long volatility and those that are short volatility. So when you're long an index, you're actually short volatility, but when you're long individual stocks or individual assets, you're long volatility. You want volatility. When we get into like the bull market and volatility picks up, you will miss out on certain gains that you could have had on individual level when it comes to these assets. But on the longer scale, when the overall volatility smooths out for the overall industry, you will still benefit. So kind of keeping in mind, when we talk about short and long volatility, think of the guys who do like value investing, like Warren Buffett. These are one of the biggest guys that is short volatility, right? He gets into the asset and holds it for like 20 days, 20 years, 30 years, and those that are long volatility are basically like hedge funds, right? That try to outperform the index. So
interesting.
Yep.
Awesome.
So that's gonna be great. More of these products are gonna be beneficial for the overall industry.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Aave do as well as it's done over the past. I mean, people are viewing it as a blue chip, obviously, but what led to, relative to its peers, it's seeing the amount. I mean, I think it's up like 80%, something on the 7 day. So it'll be interesting to see what's standing in them. And we'll talk about Aave's kind of crossover with Axie here in a second. But moving on to social tokens. Obviously, social tokens have been on the rise. I think they are an emerging kind of investing asset class there to kind of not go into it too much. And obviously, this isn't investment advice. We did see a podcast with Whale Shark and Andrew Steinwald. We talked to Andrew and Whale Shark. And speaking of indexes, one of the things that we talked about with Andrew on the podcast was that there is no social token index. And we know, I think, that Cooper Turley is working on something, whether that's by himself or with another entity. I think that we will see that shortly. But if you guys do refresh your browser or you just showed up, the description has all the links. You can go into that link where it says Whale Shark and Zima Red. That's going to be that interview. Whale Shark is obviously clear and above one of the best social tokens in the space. That was a great interview. He talked about the plans for the future, how he got Whale to where it is today, and what social tokens will be in the future. So indexes weren't brought up in that specific episode, but in our episode, it definitely was a point, and I think it's a good one. Let's see.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I definitely enjoyed that one. But yeah, go ahead with the social tokens. What we got, Q?
Yeah, so we've got Osina launched over the past week. It saw a relative price increase. I'm going to take this directly from Roll. It looks like he's I believe it's Ugandan. So I'll stick with African here, but it looks like he is in the digital NFT. I guess they're terming him as a crypto artist. And Roll is saying here that he's Africa's foremost crypto artist. And basically, based on his social token, he's rewarding people for also buying it. So he's kind of using this social token as tokenized access to his Telegram. We've seen that multiple times. That's almost like baseline at this point. But you get the actual token by buying his art. So it's just an extra incentive to get people to, I guess, purchase his art, and then you get access to the social token. I think his token did relatively well over the last 7 days since launch. Let me see if I can pull this up.
What is this art selling for? Is it selling for just fiat?
Super Rare usually uses ETH, so that's one thing. So they're probably purchasing ETH. They're getting the NFT as well as an additional, Osina token or number of that. So it looks like one of his artworks was getting 1%. So I guess he was like trying to bid up the price of a portrait of the artist at 29. That's the name of the art piece, and the winner of that piece got $100K worth of Osina. Wow. So I'll bring
Is it trading on the markets?
That's interesting. Yep. Social token just launched last week. So from a 7-day period, it looks like it launched around 3 cents and has since gone to about 9 cents.
Oh, wow. So,
yeah, so you see a almost 200% increase over that period. Social tokens are super interesting. That's one of the reasons we added it to the portion here. This next piece, though, is the most important piece when it comes to what I wanted to get to you guys today via these social tokens. It's kind of an alpha leak. It's very complex from the actual mechanics standpoint, but we can kind of step by step go through this. So Dimitri, if you want to pull this up, this is a really cool story. It looks like digital AXS. So I don't know if I believe that means auction house and exchange, but digital AX is setting to launch here in the next 2 weeks. I initially picked this up when Alex tweeted about him. So Alex has that Alex token. If you go into the actual project overview, you can get a breakdown of this project. But what you need to know is that this is launching almost as have you seen Nifty Gateway sell for Nifty Gateway and Super Rare are especially doing well in the crypto art scene. So you have all these artists, they go onto this platform, they're able to mint their art, and then people bid on them. You've seen bids go for up to 100K. What digital AX is doing is becoming those auction houses for actual digital ownership of like avatar pieces. So wearables within the digital space. And this goes into, we can go down a super big rabbit hole, but if metaverses continue to build out, people will want to, as we've seen in traditional gaming and, traditional metaverses, that's weird to say traditional metaverses, but people want to have authentic items within these games. They want, just like in the real world, you're wearing a t-shirt, I'm wearing a t-shirt. It's what kind of signifies to other people who we are. And that if that continues to, and we move more towards a digital world, that's going to happen in the digital space. So what you see here is Digital AX. They're launching a platform that is much like Super Rare, but for digital physical wearables or digi wearables. Okay. The main thing you have to know about this is it's launching in 2 weeks. What they're doing with their token Mona is they're allowing you to purchase one NFT, and I believe the Mona token as well as it gets to launch. And basically what you'll be able to do is take a percentage revenue from what they're bringing in. So I don't know if you want to go all the way down to the bottom, Dimitri, and take a look at this. We'll move into where it says staking, as well as the token allocation and distribution. So here's kind of the story here, guys. You can contribute to this now. Now, this isn't investment advice at all. Again, I just kind of found out about this project this morning. But there is a Genesis Mona NFT that you can purchase for, I believe, under 1 ETH. And you can use that token to eventually stake to receive a portion of the rewards from all time on this platform. So they're allowing people to come in, buy this NFT in this sale as kind of like early reward for users that are knowing about this early. Is that you follow me there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand. So the question is that so all these wearables that are for metaverses, like are they actually like working now, or is it the concept that people have to wait and see if to have access to these things? Like let's say if I buy a dress or buy something like that, right? Can I just go into the metaverse and use it, or is it just like, well, later on we'll have it implemented?
That's a fair question, and I think the conversation we need to have here is that is happening now in crypto voxels. It's happening in Decentraland, but there's no clear process from like an auction standpoint. And it's not clear here whether they're set up to be used within Decentraland. But there is a market out there for something like this where you would go in, you would bid on something you could wear in Decentraland, and then you would be able to go in.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's something that could be like fantastic, right? So it's like if I do buy this, whatever skin, whatever it is, I can immediately go and use it and show it off to in the metaverse. That's really gonna dictate most of the value behind projects like this, at least for me.
It's funny, Will brought up the fact that when the metaverse launches, you almost use that as an interface to interact almost like you would in a browser. So take away the website. The website is no longer needed, as the people always said like domain names and websites are almost like digital property in the sense that like digital land almost, where like people would go, it's like real estate, right? Well, when you add the metaverse and it becomes an actual thing, hopefully, what you'll do is like you don't need the browser at all. You're interacting directly with whatever it is you're buying. So eventually what you'll do is go into these places and you actually shop for things that you buy in real life. And you'll be able to interact from a VR standpoint and all these different things. So all that being said, I know that's a very like rabbit hole-ish conversation. From the here and now, you have the ability to auction house some of these digital items. That is not being done at this point. What it's happening right now is you're either getting them from drops, you're getting them from OpenSea, you're getting them from all these different things. There's no auction like you would see with Nifty Gateway or Super Rare. There's no auction based on that. So what you'll get, man, here is this. You'll get, this is like the beginning of Supreme, Gucci, Nike, all of these big time brands. What they'll do is go through an auction basis for some of their items, right? Some of it's going to be sold like it is in stores. A lot of these items are going to be sold on like a Gucci basis. They're going to be sold on an auction basis, like you would see with this art.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting.
So the other piece of this, again, I've already talked about it, but having the Mona NFT, that's you. I think it's only you. Obviously, you can probably game the system. We talked about this many times. Depending on your account and how they KYC, the NFT, the Genesis NFT that's being sold now, can be used to stake later for platform rewards. So if you think about Super Rare, it'd be like getting 15%. I can pull it up here. Both Genesis Mona NFT holders and Mona token will serve part of the platform's governance. Holders will be eligible to receive a portion of the platform's revenue and also vote on proposals across monetary and treasury policies.
That's crazy. Yeah. So basically, the auction is going to start in 11 days. That's what we're getting.
I believe the auction is happening now. There is no auction. It's basically like an ICO. It's like an ICO. Yeah. It's basically an ICO. You're committing ETH, you get the NFT back. There's a couple other things. It was a super good white paper to kind of go through here. There's another thing that they're talking about up further in the article when they're talking about attaching child and parent NFTs. I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, but what they're doing is attaching, so let's say you have a NFT that is like a gold Bitcoin chain. You can take price oracles for the price of gold and put them underpinning that asset.
That's interesting.
So there's a couple other things they're doing technology wise, but the main things you need to know is that basically you'll be able to stake both the Mona token and this Genesis Mona NFT for platform rewards. And if this becomes the super rare for physical or I guess digital wearables, then obviously that might be a interesting play. So
that gold chain went down in value by 5% today, though.
True.
So
yeah. True. So thanks for let us know what you think about that. I honestly thought this was one of the coolest white papers that I've read in a second. I think there is an opportunity for an auction house for digital items in metaverses, like Dimitri was saying. I think people want to be able. You've already seen people want to show off what they have in the metaverse. You see it all the time. Yeah. If you're involved in NFTs, you see it all the time. Now you have an auction house for that. And I think that's super interesting. And we're going to take a look. Obviously, this just came across our desk probably this morning. So it's something I want to definitely look at a little bit more. So I'll try to. So I've walked Dimitri down the steps of getting into NFTs. I remember there was one point he just called NFTs toys.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And the more I get into, the more you explain, the more interviews we have with who was the name of that one person that really, after that interview, I was just like, wow, like I really didn't see like the whole picture about NFTs.
Is that Yacht?
Yep, that was Yacht.
That's sweet. All right, cool. Yeah, I talk about Yacht enough. I don't need to show him anymore.
It's like me talking about Kane.
Take a shot. All right, guys, I'm going to move into NFTs. Speaking of them, so I've got the cursor over here. We appreciate you guys sticking up till the end. We're almost at 2 hours here, so we're going to have ourselves a good remainder of the episode with NFTs. It looks like we have a little bit of a crossover here. Aave is getting into Axie Infinity and vice versa. It looks like you'll be able to, and there's a more complex play here, and there's an easy play. It looks like $4,000 worth of Aave tokens will be there for people who own. Let me make sure I get this right. Players can win $4,000 worth of Aave during season 13 of the Axie Infinity Community Alpha, and you can win competitive matches. So they're basically subsidizing winners of matches with Aave token. That's a cool play. But if you hold I believe 0.67, it's 0.68 right here. This is it. Players need to have 0.6 Aave in their wallet, and they also need to be registered on Axie Infinity. And then you can get a Aave themed that you can see here, Aave themed ghost NFT within the Axie Infinity universe. So interesting stuff. There's going to be a lot of crossover like that, but basically Aave's launching this NFT themed token, but you need to hold a certain amount of Aave to get it. So
yeah, that sounds super interesting. The more like we have blending between the DeFi and NFT, that's where things kind of start, becoming quite exciting. So glad to see that Aave is killing it. Fan of Stanny. So
yeah, for anybody that is in Axie, yeah, Aave's obviously killing it. Axie just launched their official kind of token. I know they had the SLP token, which led to a lot of increase in interest. That token was basically how do I put this? It was used to level up your Axies, so it's a utility token essentially. This AXS token, the AXS token, just went live, I believe, 7 days ago. Let's see what it's done. It's up about 40% in the 7-day range, or the 24-hour range. I need to check the 7-day. It's probably around the same. So 16 cents it launched at, and this was a Binance Launchpad. So it's increased even from that public sale on the Binance Launchpad, I believe, at 10 cents. So it's about 30 cents today. AXS is going to do a lot of good things, along with what we just talked about with that Mona. AXS token is going to redistribute community funds, or how do I say this? That community treasury, of which part of it is revenue from the game. It's going to be redistributed for people who stake AXS. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like Bruno is pointing out something that I've had on my mind is when is Q going to drop that second link?
Damn. That's all they're here for. That's all we're here for. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I got you guys. I'm gonna pull it up right now. I'm gonna drop that for sticking till the end. I appreciate you guys. I will drop that immediately. So there's your second link, your 2x LADZ rewards for us hitting all-time highs today. We appreciate it. Obviously, we're growing very rapidly. We're hitting all-time highs on like every episode. So
that's amazing.
Thank you guys for sticking till the end. That's pretty much all I had on Axie. Again, they're blowing. It's going to be in that realm that CryptoKitties was in that it's had enough users where you could say it's one of the first widely adopted dApps. And I know that's not saying a lot when you look at the large community for gaming, but within crypto, Axie is absolutely killing it. So that's good. All right, Bruno says he's going to go to sleep now. So appreciate you stopping by, Bruno. The last piece of news I'm going to touch on, it looks like Splinterlands and Somnia Space had land sales that both did pretty well. So congratulations to those teams. Not involved in those two. And we also have Fewocious. So, we just talked about here about sales on Super Rare, sales on Nifty Gateway. Well, as expected, the Fewocious sale did really well. It actually went to Jason Williams, who is a part of, I believe, Morgan Creek Capital with Pomp. $25,000.
Wow.
Yeah. So
it's a pretty trippy NFT there.
Yep. Yeah. Fewocious has very eclectic style. I mean, it's tough to not say a lot of the art within the crypto art scene isn't eclectic, right? But Fewocious, we knew she's been on an absolute tear in the NFT art scene, and I called it that it was going to be a second. It lasted 6. So 6 seconds, everything that she had sold out. So she had that one for $25K, and also the rest of her artwork, I believe, totaling 15 pieces sold out. So congratulations to the 17-year-old selling a piece of art for $25K.
That's amazing.
That's legitimate. So that's pretty much it for the NFT scene, guys. We had a great episode here today. We'll kind of get you guys the information here before we close the episode, but we appreciate you staying with us till the end. What do you got, Dima?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and tomorrow, as always, we got Dimitri's desk at 5 p.m. Eastern. I have very cool stuff planned for that episode. It might be quite intense, but I'm going to try to make sure that I explain all these things because there's some activity in the options market that needs to be covered here. So, tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern, Dimitri's desk. Come join me, and we'll break the, kind of the market down together. Keep an eye on the research stuff that we're going to be dropping in the Discord as well, like I mentioned from Stefan. Looks like that's about it.
Yeah, we had a couple comments come through from the land sale. I did see that the Splinterlands land sale might have been too scarce, and they left it open for whale activity. They have a lot. I think they only sold a fifth of what, they capped it off on this sale. So they have more. Hopefully they'll fix that in the future. Before you guys head off here, as Dimitri said, Dimitri's desk tomorrow. We have a couple more things though. We have that liquidity mining program. If you're interested, I'll see if I can find the mining program. Let me see can you find
the
that
form?
Yeah. If we could post that in. Actually, I think I have it here. Yeah,
You got it?
Yeah, I believe I have it. Let me see if it goes through. So we have this mining application. Obviously, the LADZ token is moving its way through the process right now. We're so excited to actually have this kind of process take over and our baby out into the wild. But guys, if you're interested at all in the mining process, you don't even have to commit any ETH right now. If you want to just talk to us, fill out that application. We already have a group that's been upgraded within the Discord, the miner role. You guys, there's going to be rewards for those people in NFTs. There's going to be rewards from a LADZ perspective. So super interested in that process, and you guys need to fill out that application. Other than that, we do have. I thought I had one more thing to get to them.
Yeah, for those guys that fill out that application, by the way, and that have filled out the application, I'll be sliding into your DMs soon this week, and we can get the chat going, and I can answer any questions that you guys have in regards to that. So super happy about that. Super excited.
Yeah. So the thing I wanted to get to you guys, I think we touched on it earlier before we head off here, and I'll let Dima get us out. If you guys are interested in helping out Layer 1 and LADZ, and this is kind of the ethos that we've had up to this point, every single member of Layer 1 and the Layer 1 team has come from the LADZ community. And that needs to continue. If we want to have a successful social token, if we want to have a successful community, we need as many people that want to reach out and help as possible. So if you have some bandwidth, if you think that you can make LADZ in any way better, reach out to any of the council members. They'll get us to you, or if you reach out to us, we'll have a conversation and see how you can't help Layer 1 and LADZ. So other than that, man, you got it.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. It's been a great episode, guys. Thanks for joining. And as always, till next time.